Hi, this is Gary Carburetor, and I'm going to revisit an old topic that I covered back in 2016. That's because the story has gotten new life over the last week, and that is because of information that's come out during the Trump arrest and indictment. When looking at the 34 charges in the official indictment filing, you can see that a lot of the charges have to do with potential wrongdoing, fraud, that the Trump campaign committed to try to win the 2016 election. Now this evidence has been collected and put together in a scientific manner that New York prosecutors think may win one of the biggest cases in the history of the United States. I'm coming to you today by voiceover, and therefore you'll be able to know that anytime you see me, that footage was from 2016. 6 reasons why Trump's win was fraudulent. I haven't actually supported Hillary Clinton. Just look at all my videos. Some of the charges involve payments made to the National Enquirer. I think it's safe to say that Trump was giving money to the National Enquirer, which is the media. And guess what? That media outlet was promoting him, which is not what the media is supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to not do. That is corruption.
Doorman gets paid off $30,000, October 2015. June 2016, Karen McDougal gets $150. Everybody's quiet. Still haven't heard anything. September 2016, the audio tape is done between Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. Trump's telling Cohen, pay cash.
Now, giving someone money is not illegal, but what is definitely a crime is falsifying documents to cover up the fact that she made the hush money payments. And I think that's mostly what this case is. So when Jesse Waters on Fox says, the charges amount to 6, that's exactly opposite. And that's why Fox registered as an entertainment channel instead of a news channel. So if they ever end up in the courtroom, which they have and will again soon, they'll just be able to say, oh, we're an entertainment channel. We don't have to comply with FCC rules. Of course, it's human nature to focus on the 6. But none of the 34 charges are about what happened in the hotel room. Giving them money to keep them silent in itself is not illegal. To show where the illegality comes from and why this was an unfair manipulation of the election takes putting together 2 points. First one is paying off people to not speak publicly ends up manipulating the voters' view of who Trump is. Nothing illegal about that. Everybody does that, but you have to add in another fact. And you know, his supporters have always claimed that he hasn't done anything illegal, and they make that case by using a technique where they divide up things he did into pieces until those pieces are small enough to where those individual pieces are not illegal. For instance, it's not illegal to go walking down the street and walk into a bank. And in many places in the U.S., it's not illegal to carry a gun. In some places, you can't conceal a gun, you have to show it. And as the bank teller is checking out your gun, it's not illegal to give a bank teller a piece of paper. Happens all the time. Cash and checks. But depending on the exact words written on that piece of paper, and if you can connect it with the other factors, there just could be a crime happening there. I wonder if Trump's lawyers ever defended someone accused of armed robbery. And if they ever made this kind of defense, that would be pretty funny. So when you put all Donald's facts together, you have illegal. And that's where we bring in point number 2. The way in which he manipulated voters' view of him was by paying off people. Certain people who had bad stuff to say about him. Now, I'm not personally bothered by an affair, extramarital cheating, but Donald, running as a conservative, was positioned to get voters who do care about such things. And it's not for me or you to say how they analyze a candidate. And while Trump was suppressing bad information about him, he was also lying about Hillary, his opponent, saying she was doing stuff that was never proven.
You see what's happening? The process is rigged. The election is being rigged by corrupt media, pushing completely false allegations and outright lies in an effort to elect her president.
And there's that classic projection where he's taking what he is secretly doing and accusing his opponent of the same thing. He was putting out lies about Hillary in order to get himself elected, while covering up the truth about himself. Now right here, I want to show you what Trump means when he says it's rigged.
All big lies. It's a rigged system.
He was specifically talking about lies that get into the media for voters to see. So right there, he is agreeing that manipulating the information that voters get is rigging. Now, if both sides did this manipulation equally, then it would balance things out. And the left does do this too, but it hasn't been shown that they did this to this great of an extent. It seemed to be a way of operating for Trump. And he talked about rigging against him. He talked about this all the time during his campaign. And it seems like he was projecting.
We're going to beat the rigged election. Election is being rigged. The whole thing. Rigged election. Hillary is running for president in what looks like a rigged election. Okay? Hillary is running for president in what looks like to many people a totally rigged election. The election is being rigged by corrupt media pushing false allegations and outright lies in an effort to elect Hillary Clinton president. But we're going to stop it. But we are going to stop it.
How?
We've been going through, and I hate to say it, but the whole thing we're going through, Bernie Sanders, it was a rigged deal. The whole thing is one big fix. And I hate to say it. It's being rigged. And I hate to say it. A rigged election.
How did he try to stop the rigging? During his campaign and when he was president for 4 years, he didn't fix our election systems because 4 years later, he played this same game. Did he even try in 4 years?
I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
I don't doubt that if the fraud ends up being more against his opponent and he wins, then he'll overlook any fraud. If the fraud makes it to where he loses, then he will make a huge stink about it.
He also once said that if he won the election, he won't care if there was fraud. And it sure looks like he didn't care. It looks like he didn't believe anything he was saying.
It was scary the way he was talking about the media. He was banning certain media from covering him on his campaign trail. There is rules here about the candidates deserving equal airtime. The media is supposed to live up to equal airtime, and they have not done this. So all the media can be sued individually. Of course, it's too late now, and Trump could just pardon them. And with Trump, there's just a lot of material there. And therefore, they didn't spend much time talking about Hillary. And when they did, it was corrupt against Hillary. They continued to play along with this email thing that the Republicans concocted.
Be happy to show Donald Trump Jr. my email inbox or my Twitter mentions with people insisting that all we do is focus on Hillary Clinton in emails and press conferences and the Clinton Foundation.
False stories, all made up. Lies, lies. Because I take these unsubstantiated, no witnesses, putting them on the front pages of newspapers. But remember, it's a rigged system. It's a rigged election.
And then he won. Oops. Oh, but it's too late now. It doesn't matter how it looks. He won. And if you're still skeptical that any of this hush money stuff is legit, well, remember that Donald's lawyer recently spent 3 years in prison for these very charges. You may have heard Trump's former vice president, another huge liar, that's why Donald picked him. He said, oh, Michael Cohen went to jail for lying. Well, I looked that up, and here are the laws that he broke. And I didn't even find lying in this list. It's mostly Republicans that are skeptical of the charges against the Donald. Interestingly enough, these same Republicans didn't have a huge fit when Michael Cohen got sent to prison for these charges. Now these same charges are being applied to Donald Trump. Now they're having a fit. Now back to my old video, where I talk about various ways the election is corrupted, ways that his Republican Party corrupts the elections that he may have little to nothing to do with.
Even Trump himself would agree with some of this stuff if it wasn't being used against him. And he did agree when this stuff was about somebody else. We'll start with the FBI. Here's one where Trump agrees that the FBI is corrupt. I don't think much needs to be said about this because we already know that it was so wrong for them to put out some vague comment about a candidate 6 days before the election. And for months before that, the Republicans were complaining about the FBI being corrupt.
And then weeks before the election, the FBI went and did something that hurt Hillary's campaign. And we should all remember what that was. Director James Comey puts out a statement that they're going to do an investigation on the emails. The reason he said he did that, he felt on the spot for not doing an investigation. And who put him on the spot? Right. It was Trump. He was able to manipulate the FBI into putting out into the media that election-altering soundbite.
It's a technique that Republicans have been using a lot more than Democrats to win elections, because they found they can't win many elections without this. It's a technique called gerrymandering. It's taking advantage of the fact that we divide up our map of the U.S. into voting districts. Each section represents one delegate vote. Whatever party gets the most votes, they get that whole section, and those are the votes that count. I wasn't even going to bring up the Electoral College or the fact that she got the most votes, because that fact alone isn't the problem. It's the gerrymandering of the voting districts. They don't just take squares, another square here, or maybe take cities or counties. They draw these weird lines that go like this. What they're doing there is they're dividing people up by their class. Economic class and race, maybe.
North Dakota and South Dakota each get 3 electoral votes. But there are a lot more people in South Dakota than in Wyoming. California has 39 million people, and it only gets 55 electors in the Electoral College. If California voters got equal representation in the Electoral College to Wyoming voters, California would get 199 electors in the Electoral College.
This whole election is being rigged.
It sure was. Let's take Pennsylvania.
Certain areas.
Yeah, certain areas of Pennsylvania, like the black sections. And you draw a line around that, because you already know they're going to vote Democratic. So you put them in their own box, and so they're out of the picture. They can't affect the other areas which might be in play, and so they can more easily make those go Republican. You know, they've tried to stop this, but then that was stopped by Republicans. Republicans in the White House, in Congress, the Supreme Court. You see, we're headed for disaster, and I'm just getting started here. It's been proven with computer forensics that Russia has hacked computers in the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party, you know. And then there's this recent news that just happened. Republicans communicating with Russia during the election. And the sixth reason, internet satire and political websites posing as news sites. By now you've heard of InfoWars and hopefully Breitbart. I've heard of another website where they weren't even hiding that they were satire. They were just making up stuff, anti-Hillary, just to get people there and sell stuff. And maybe a normal person could tell it was satire, but not a political person who would vote for Trump, as in stupid. Just like I say, people call names, it really applies to themselves. Thanks to the media continuing to repeat this stuff as if there's something going on. People just keep saying Hillary's a criminal, she's done all this, and they just say Benghazi, and then people keep spreading it, and then they hear it, and then they spread it, and then they hear it. It's all the same misdirection.
It's rigged like you've never seen before.
And how is it that he's able to make this prediction?
The whole thing is one big...
Nobody knows the system better than me.
CNN projects Donald Trump will win the state of Iowa with its 6 electoral votes.
How stupid are the people of Iowa?
Or maybe they're not that stupid. Maybe all the polls and all the experts were right. Maybe everyone's instincts were right that Donald Trump could not possibly legitimately win the presidential election.
Even the Trumps can't believe that this happened. This was them last night watching the results. Look at those faces. Look at his face. Look at that